Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. We make atmospheric tabletop role-playing games, and we stream them for you here on Twitch. How lucky for you! Tonight is Coriolis, and we're coming back to it after 2 weeks off, I think, which is nice. We're sort of rolling towards the end of this storyline, I think, now, and that means in a couple of weeks' time you'll have Simbroom to look forward to. We return to our flagship series. I realise I'm bigging up tonight's stream by saying how good it will be to leave it in 2 weeks' time and go to Simbroom, but I'm sure you can agree that Coriolis and Simbroom both have their own charms. Before we go any further, or I put my foot any further into my mouth, let me introduce John, our stream manager. John will be tinkering away in the background, fiddling with cams and art and chat and 1,000 things, but mainly those things that I just named. Hi, John.
Hi, Matt.
Warm in it.
It is. I'm joining you in the new Telling Tales dress code.
Yep. Which I'm afraid to say the players didn't get the memo. So I blame that on you. And just do better next time. Yeah, that would be for the best. So, we've got a bunch of promo to get through before I start introducing those players. We have a bunch of links down below. We've got links to Twitch and to YouTube. You're watching on one. Why not check out the other? We've got links to our social media, to our Discord, where you can join up and talk about all things role-playing and telling tales. It's quite active these days. It's really quite a nice little place to hang out. You can find a link to our Patreon, and if you sign up there, you can get lots of lovely rewards like behind-the-scenes material, GM notes, character creation videos, access to the patrons-only section of our Discord, all sorts of stuff. We run 3 weekly games, Call of Cthulhu on Mondays, Blades in the Dark on Tuesdays, and currently Coriolis this on Wednesdays. All of them start at 8 o'clock BST or 3 o'clock EST, and probably other time zones too. Other time zones are available. Check your local time zone store. We also do monthly one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. There's been a bunch of those. They're all in VOD form over on our YouTube. And the most recent of which was Honey Heist, which was a lot of fun, and more people should watch it because it's really, really funny. And the upcoming next one is on Saturday, the 7th of August, and that's going to be myself running One Ring, or the new version of One Ring, the Middle-earth role-playing game from Free League. And we do, over on Free League's Twitch, we do run a Simbroom series every other Sunday as well, which won't be this Sunday, it'll be the Sunday after. Yeah, that's enough of that. You don't want to hear any more about that. You want to hear about Coriolis, which we've been playing for a few weeks now, and it's good. It's another Free League game, sci-fi, kind of like Firefly, only with 1,000-And-One-Nights instead of cowboys. So there we go. Let's get on into it. So our crew have been stranded on an unknown planet for some time now. And in our last session, things took a turn for the dramatic at first and the violent, in fact. So why don't we bring on our first player, Stephen, who plays Hamza, the sort of mechanic, engineer, dock worker,
deckhand is the word that you're searching for. Yes.
Trades. Jack of all trades with a big power fist. Why don't you let us know how the last session started, Stephen?
So the last session started with Hamza keeping guard at what passes for nighttime on this planet that we've crashed on, while the other characters slept, and promptly being attacked by a kind of a giant six-legged space tiger that evolved into a pretty extensive and complex fight. Hamza tried to shoot it and then got the gun knocked away and then tried to punch it with the power fist. And then the other characters woke up and tried to shoot it as well and got poisoned and knocked out. And Levere mostly just kind of stood there in the armor that he found in the crashed spaceship.
Trying to tank it in a weaponless fashion.
Yeah, just kind of distracted it by letting it bite down on him.
Absolutely.
Eventually, as I recall, kind of Hamza sort of punched it into submission
Yeah, I think Sadira had shot it a couple of times.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
and then Hamza just kind of, I think, broke its neck with a particularly powerful strike.
It was a group effort, but yeah, that was. I think that was kind of how it finished. And
yeah, I think so. With that in mind, let's bring on our next player. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Adam, who's a sort of I don't know how to describe him, like a sort of a wandering mystic type individual.
Yeah.
On the run from some troubled past. What happened next then?
I think we gathered ourselves a bit after the big fight came. It was somewhat of a shock. My gun was broken. That got fixed. I think we harvested some meat off this creature as our rations to go with, and we kind of made our plans about when we should head out to try and get the right amount of daylight mixed with not badly overheating, because there's a lot of suns here. I think our plan was to head to the water first, and from the water onwards, if I remember rightly.
I think that was absolutely the case. You kind of stocked up on water, stocked up on meat as you could, and then so your plan. Where are you going, Sam, for any new viewers out there?
All right, so we're crash landing in the middle of kind of like a big plain savanna area. On one, I think to the west is on like the western horizon is like a jungle foresty type thing, and on the east there is a pyramid structure, and I think we've all kind of gotten into agreement that the pyramid structure was where we wanted to go, most likely to find signs of life, and just seemed like the safer option. I believe that was 10 kilometers away.
I think we settled on 12, but not far off. And with that in mind, you had a bit of a logistical discussion and then made some decisions. And then you started off on your trek. And why don't we bring on our next player, Mike, who plays Sadira, kind of traveling companion of Adam. And why don't you tell us, Mike, how the journey towards the pyramid went?
Casting my mind back, I think it went okay, generally speaking. We sort of made our way steadily east. And we used sort of a recon probe to sort of investigate one or two things on the way. And I guess that the most noteworthy thing was like a sort of like was it like a tent that we found? Like some sort of like very rudimentary camp or
former campsite,
which we investigated, and there was one or two kind of signs of someone who tried to survive there, but then had perished, I think.
I think you found kind of essentially a human skeleton with a broken leg, and also in a rather macabre fashion a kind of fire pit with other human bones in that looked a bit hacked and nibbled. And you also found some randomly dropped cargo, because this area that you're in, it seems like there have been multiple ships that have come down in this area, and clearly one of them dropped some cargo. What did you find in those cargo boxes, Mike?
That's a very good question. What did we find in those cargo boxes?
You found two things.
Food?
No, but you found some planet-wide communication devices.
Oh, that's right.
Which you could not raise any signal on. It was kind of, you weren't sure if it was being blocked or jammed or just not working clearly. But you also found a lot of fashionable trainers or trainer-like Coriolis footwear, which obviously was utterly useless. But the planet-wide communicators, maybe those will come in handy.
Yeah. And then we kind of continued our way east, and we, I think, did we cross a little river of some sort?
Just as you came to the pyramid, there's kind of this very kind of quite broad but shallow, kind of up to just past your ankles sort of thing, fairly sluggish river that you waded across. And on the other side, the ruin. And let's bring on our final crew member. Let's bring on Chris, who plays Luia, a very faithful pilot, a pilot with a lot of faith in the icons, the kind of godlike figures of Coriolis. Chris, tell us about the ruin.
Well, first off, I think we decided not to try the communicators, so I think it's still a mystery as to whether or not they work. if my memory
Oh,
serves.
fair enough.
Spoilers.
Clearly jumping ahead then.
But yeah, so thanks for that tip. But I think we also decided, in abundance of caution, to do a circuit of the pyramid before trying to find some kind of way in. And it's not a huge structure. Well, it is a huge structure, but it's not a huge structure. It took us about 10 minutes to walk around it, and we discovered the wreckage of some very old settlements, some cosmically terrifyingly old settlements, actually, some pre-human old settlements that got me it's quite a realization to come across that.
Yeah.
And,
you also found behind the pyramid there is a patch of woodland, and within that you could see the shape of what looked like yet another shipwreck.
yes. And that is kind of where we left it. I can't remember if we decided to dive to the ship or to dive into the danger triangle. But
I think we're up to date. Yeah, absolutely. So let's pull that character art off screen and crack on with the storyline. And we're going to pick up, exactly exactly where we left off there. So you're standing in front of this sort of pyramidal ruin, and I think I have kind of described it, but it's made of kind of large chunks of kind of dark grey stone that are kind of, it has a lot of vegetation strewn through it and across it, vines and mosses and the like. It is a stepped pyramid rather than, think Central America rather than Egypt. Hold on, some of the Egypt. Stop it, Matt. Stop it. Don't get excited about pyramids. So it is, a stepped pyramid leading up. I think I did have a height of it. Yes, it's about 120 feet high. And about halfway up on the side you've arrived at, kind of facing, back where you've come from, appears to me a relatively small, dark opening. And then you've got the shipwreck kind of behind it in a patch of trees and some kind of, small archaeological, like other buildings, but kind of none that are still standing. And that's what you got. That's where you are.
How high? I have two questions. How high are the steps of the step pyramid, roughly? And are there like smaller steps leading up to this black potential opening?
There are not smaller steps leading up to it, and the height of kind of each step is probably about kind of lower chest height, kind of top of the belly, sort of thing. So you definitely have to kind of like pull yourself up each one, but by the same token, it's not a massive ordeal to do so.
Yeah. Depending on injuries, presumably.
Yes. How are we all with regards to injuries? Don't hit points recover quite quickly in these, but you do have some critical injuries between you, right?
Yeah. In terms of hit points, I'm fine, but I still have my lacerated kidney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got 2 days left on my internal injuries, which I'm happy about. But do we want to maybe look at one last shipwreck before going into this this pyramid? And also, given we can maybe make the choice now, do we call in the SOS?
Well, we could climb to the top of this pyramid and look even further and see what we can see from there.
Oh, I hate climbing up to come back down again, but that is a good suggestion. Perhaps, though, the people who landed so close and seemingly somewhat intact might have more information about what this structure is than we do. It might be a worthwhile thing to check out.
I do agree, Libya, that we should check that ship out. We've had some good fortune with the shipwrecks that we've encountered so far. We should check it out.
I agree.
Yeah. It's not far away either. I think it'll be
This is
a
not
fun afternoon's walk.
So, with that in mind, It sounds like you're checking out this shipwreck first. You make your way kind of round the kind of towering form of the pyramid again, and round to that woodland, and it's close enough to the back of the ruin itself that the shadow of it is cast over the woodland, and you find yourself maybe cooler than you have been at any point other than the night time here. As you make your way under the trees, you can hear kind of like the sound of the local bird analogues kind of like hooting and making soft clicking noises as you walk through the quite sparse underbrush. It's not a difficult walk, and as you kind of make your way forwards, you see that the shape of the ship in front of you, as you thought on first glance, it doesn't seem to have been maybe as heavily damaged as a lot of the other crashes that you've seen. It also seems to be, you would guess it's been there a while because there's a lot of vegetation growing over the hull, but also presumably because it spent so much time in the shade here and kind of sheltered from weather, the hull also looks in pretty good condition, like it hasn't had some of the weathering and the pitting and the kind of sun scorching that the others have had. All to the point where still very visible on the side of it, painted on in blue, is the perhaps ironically sun rising over the pyramid, symbol of the Consortium, the largest faction in the Third Horizon, which consists of a group of large corporations that dominate trade, manufacturing, media, science, and colonization. In fact, their logo is even still visible on the side. Their motto, rather, is even still visible on the side of the logo. Expansion is life.
Flight worthy, just from my.
Give me a roll on that of your evaluation on it. I think that's going to be technology, right? Or pilot, your choice.
Oh, please, this
pilot, right? Yeah.
Second pilot role of the campaign. That's 3 plus 4 is 7. 2 successes.
Well, it's very hard to tell without getting inside and yourself and perhaps Hamza looking at the, all the internal gubbins and the wiring. A lot of that stuff could have been eaten away by kind of natural processes in the meantime. But externally, it's certainly the most sturdy ship you've encountered while you've been on this planet.
My friends, I think that ship is not far away from being airborne.
Then we should go take a look.
We should be cautious of who may be there already also. Consortium.
There is a hatch on the side of the ship, which seems to be closed, but only sealed mechanically, not any kind of electronic seal. It's got a you know what I mean, clicky hatch.
Submarine style.
Yeah, like submarine style, like a wheel that you can turn that'll release mechanisms inside.
Do we knock?
Get your weapons ready, just in case.
Okay. Who is going to knock? If you're knocking,
Hamza's got the knocking glove, right?
Hamza's got the knocking armor as well.
Yeah, are you still? I remember you said you obviously you had to walk here in your exoloader, Hamza, to get it here. Are you still in it?
Yes, I think I probably sort of cut quite a bulky figure at the moment between the physique and the armor that Levere insisted on lending, and the exoloader and the power gloves. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, you can wrap on that hull and wait as long as you want because no response is coming.
Cool. Then I will attempt to open the door.
You do so fairly easily. Like it's much, other people would have had to make a roll, but in your exoloader, this is literally what partly what the kind of thing this exoskeleton is designed for, and with a great creaking clunk and click. The wheel turns, the hatch opens, and there is a burst of kind of very musty smelling air that comes out from the ship. It's very clear that this has been sealed for a long time.
Electrically dead, then? May I think between you and me, Hamza, we should survey this swiftly.
Let's see what we can see.
You set foot on the ship, Luia, and softly and slowly than you'd like, the kind of underfoot and along wall emergency lighting slowly fades into kind of, it's kind of like a glow in the dark effect, so you can at least navigate around the ship if the power goes out. But it comes on, which means that there's some charge left somewhere in the emergency systems.
Okay.
That's encouraging.
The entire ship, it's the same base model as the ship you crashed here on, the salvage ship style, and I think another one of the ships you investigated that was crashed. And as you pace forward, it's a fairly typical kind of structure. Where you can find the hold, you can find the kind of the sleep chambers, you can find the cockpit very easily.
Okay, I suppose we sweep first to check for life forms, and then we see if I can. Never tried to bootstrap a ship's reactor off an emergency system before.
I would be amazed if there's anything alive in here. Shall we check the sleep chambers first?
Yes,
because I think if there's anybody here, that's where they'd be.
Yeah, smart idea.
Absolutely. In that case, you turn towards the rear of the ship. You go where it would have been on the kind of the ship you came here on, and you go down into the cargo hold. And the first thing that you see in the cargo hold ahead of you is what appears to be 3 occupied body bags lying on the cargo hold floor. You also see the entrance to the sleep chamber beneath the cargo hold, and you see over on one side there's an extra. Kind of one of the modular sections of the ship seems to be storing a lot of kind of technological devices that you're not overly familiar with at first glance. But I'm sure if someone went in there and had a rummage around, they might have some more idea of the kind of things it might contain.
An expedition, maybe?
It seems as though at least somebody survived the landing. But
yeah. Let's keep checking. We'll come back to this.
Matt, is there any sign of kind of last rites or anything being given to these corpses, the body bags or anything
There is nothing that you can. No, there's nothing that you can see. They're just black body bags with the
sealed up
rough human shapes in them. Yes, they are sealed.
Presumably,
they're zipped up. You can open them if you want.
Maybe not.
So somebody was alive and well enough to put them in here, but not well enough to take them outside and give them a proper funeral, unless the intention was to take them home.
Or they closed the door on their way out and met a bad end outside the ship.
Well, we did find that camp, right?
Yes, and a half dozen other ships that could have crewed that. We should complete our search, but whew.
Well, it's only a few steps to the sleep chamber, and I suspect that Hamza would be the one to check that, being very familiar with the mechanisms. You kind of duck your head down. It's exactly the same build that you're familiar with. The soft lighting inside shows about 10 sleep chambers or cryo coffins, whatever we want to call them, all of which at first glance certainly appear to be empty.
Okay. Is it possible to investigate them to get a sense of how many of them would have been used on the last trip, to get an estimate of the crew count?
I'd say no, because they're probably full of some kind of at least some dust, not kind of that much dust, probably kind of particulate matter from the metal of the surroundings and the hull, but coffins that you wear clothes and you lie in them. They're not meant to be comfortable. They're literally like a box and you just lie in them, so there's no kind of So I'll say no.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a computer that I could ask, but we haven't really got
No, none of
power for that.
none of the kind of interfaces or data pads or anything like that around this area seem to be functioning. Probably because it's on very low emergency power.
Okay. I will leave that room.
So I suppose I'll kind of walk toward the bridge and try and keep people with me, just so I don't walk off alone.
Yeah.
So as you walk towards the cockpit, you walk past sort of the crew area, and there seem to be a number of rooms that were occupied at some point that have some personal possessions in them, various things like that. A lot of them are kind of like and a lot of the general areas kind of things have been smashed about, but not destroyed. Entire areas not destroyed in the same way that your ship was. But in the process of going past the crew quarters, you also pass the engine room, and the engine room is absolutely trashed. It has kind of what looks like a huge, like old desiccated tree trunk, kind of just it's kind of wrapped around that, and the engine itself it's just wreckage. So whatever is providing power is clearly maybe a small backup generator of some kind, but those can be buried in the bowels of a ship. It might not be something you can gain access to or try and boost terribly easily.
We've found a tree house.
Oh, well, unless someone wants to try and get FTL working on a wood-fired generator, I think we're not getting this bird alight anytime soon.
I'm good, Louis. I'm not that good.
In the crew areas, is there any sign of supplies, perhaps?
They don't look to be immediately in the quarters, but you could go and look in the mess and see if you could find something there. Also, I believe you said you were heading to the cockpit?
Yeah, I was, but maybe I've been distracted now that I've seen the engine, because this thing is not taking off again. Yeah,
absolutely. You can go and are we all kind of investigating the mess, or is anyone kind of going anywhere else?
I'm still nervous. I'd like everyone to be together.
Sure.
So.
Got nowhere else to be.
In the mess, as soon as you step in, you can all hear a kind of like low, very low hum of power. And there are soft lights on around a mechanical device embedded into the wall that you all recognize as a water purifier. There is also kind of like a lot of storage bins in here, and the most cursory glance reveals that there are a tremendous number of dry food rations here. They will be very uninspiring. They will, be stale as hell, but they're also made to, these things are made to last hundreds of years, essentially, potentially. So there's a lot of food here, and as long as the power keeps going, limitless water.
So I'd say that's another vote in the camp of an expeditionary force. Would seem the logical assumption. No one packs this much food on a short hop.
Depends where they were going. Depends how much trouble they had to do on the other side once they came out of the portal.
Hamza, you've travelled around a lot. Have you got... Well, Hamza, all of it. Which ones of you have culture? Luria has it. Go on, give me a culture roll, Luria. You're on mute, by the way.
Once again, 2 successes.
Lovely. As soon as you say that, you realise this is a consortium ship.
So
they come loaded.
Okay.
They don't skimp. These are probably stock rations that are just on every consortium ship in the event of. They don't like to lose assets.
Okay. I don't want to admit I'm wrong, so I'm not going to tell everyone else that.
Sure.
But I would like to take a look at the cockpit.
Absolutely. You step into the cockpit. It is also been kind of badly damaged, but not so much as the engine room. And ahead of you, softly blinking in the relative darkness of the cockpit, like obviously, like it's mostly kind of intact, and therefore it's pretty dark in here because all the shutters are down and everything like that. But softly blinking is the input on a terminal that appears to be essentially in boot mode.
Okay. I can press the button, but feels like it would be a booby trap. This planet has made me so untrusting.
Yeah. We don't know if we want to draw attention to ourselves yet.
We could learn a lot about what happened to the people.
And that
on the
was
ship.
one of the reasons we came here, was it not? Okay. How about this? We've swept the ship. We know everything's good at this stage. How about you, my good friends, go and fill up our rations with this chemical water we found, and fill your bags with those food rations, and then leave the ship, and then I will flip the console. And if it's a booby trap, then, well, I'm sure I'll be fine. The icons protect me. If it is not a booby trap, then you can come back in 5 minutes when the ship has failed to explode. This way, the worst case scenario still means people have a lot of food, and perhaps I survive.
You're going to try and extract some information from the computer if there is any.
Yes, 100%. I don't think I'll ever get her flying again. Maybe I'll try and start up a secondary generator if any one remains intact, but my primary goal will be to find out what transpired.
Just watch the power draw. That water right now is more important than whatever the truth is about this ship.
Understood. I'll be cautious. You're on mute, Matt.
Oh, it sounds like we've got a plan. So are the other three going to retreat off the craft and let Weir do his thing?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'll give you a fair few minutes to fill the bags as well and get watered.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Chris, do you have data gen?
I do not.
Then roll pilot and take a -1 to it, please.
Oh, that's again a good stack of dice.
How did we end up with the guy that didn't have data gen and is trying to use the computers?
You have it.
Yes!
What? I thought you were just the muscle.
I didn't even think so. I assumed that as the pilot you would have that.
Hamza, I just assumed that you weren't prepared to risk yourself in a possible booby trap, and we're happy for Lemire to take that.
Once again, 2 successes. I am well blessed this evening.
Essentially what you're booting here is the basic layer of the operating system on the ship. You have no chance of getting to navigational details, kind of logs, all things like that. You suspect that even if you could draw the power to access them, from the basic navigation you're doing around this kind of operating system, it looks like they may have been burnt out, or that the storage devices for them are wrecked. In all your looking, you can tell 2 things. Number 1, this seems to have been designated as a science and research vessel. Number 2, this vessel has been logging this geographical position for 11 years.
Wow.
And that's all you're getting. Without, I mean, if you seriously fiddle with power input, you could maybe, you're not even convinced you could spin it up properly, even if you had additional power. But
okay, I will put it back into the same state of sleep that it was previously, and then I will poke my head out the door, hopefully to where the others are, hidden at a safe distance.
Sure, you guys haven't run off or anything, have you? Just left in. Now's our chance.
I am pleased to announce that I remain unexploded. Unfortunately, this ship will not fly again. It was a science ship, which has been 11 years on the ground.
Science and research, that might explain some of the electronics that we saw.
Doodads. Hamza, do you want to take a second look at those? Now we don't have to worry about...
Yep, I'll come back on board and take a look at those.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can give me a technology, your choice of technology or science? No, technology. I think technology is fine. Yeah, give me a technology roll for that, and you can obviously get assistance from anyone else who has technology if they want to also have a browse.
I actually do not.
Just
Me neither.
Okay. That's no successes, and I think I'm going to not give you a darkness point. I'm not going to play to the icons for that one.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a load of scientific equipment. You have really no idea what it does. I mean, that in itself tells you something, that it doesn't seem to be bargain, just kind of standard equipment. But beyond that, you really don't know. He said, realizing that he has no idea how many darkness points he does have. It was at least double figures, so I'll just put it as 10, which I think means that you've probably gotten away with something, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's very advanced. It's very specialist. This is not just a random scouting survey group. They came here with equipment for a reason.
Well, 3 of them met their end here, so wonder what happened to the 4th and the others.
Are we assuming that they came here on purpose?
It's a stretch, but I don't think it's an unreasonable assumption.
There's definitely things to investigate here for a scientific group. I don't know, maybe the effect it has on ships or just this pyramid and the other buildings.
The fact that the ship is so intact would lead me to believe that they were at least somewhat aware of how to put a vessel down with the interference generated by that pyramid.
It certainly seems the best of all the ones we found.
Yeah.
Or there wasn't interference. Does it, Matt? Does it look like the damage in the engine room came from like a crash or an explosion or an impact, or does it look like trees grew through it?
No, it absolutely looks like impact damage, because like the large tree trunk that's wedged through there is kind of desiccated and dead and kind of split off from wherever it grew in the ground. It definitely looks like this ship impacted here. It ditched, but it ditched a lot
Quite well.
smoother than the other ships that you've encountered.
Also, Matt, you said that the sort of ship's computer that indicated that this had been in this location for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Were some of the other ships here for longer than that, did we think, based on our guesses?
I don't think you got any firm answers on that. I think
we didn't investigate any computers. But...
Yeah, the closest I think I gave you was that one of them you guess had been there for years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like rather than months. But other than that, and I don't think you got much information off any others that you encountered. So.
Well, if nothing else, we find a place to sleep for the night that is securable.
Yep.
You have to wonder why whoever survived this would leave this place, given the water and the rations here. But
you've seen what's out there.
Yeah, it seems way more dangerous than this.
I think they were investigating the pyramid, and I think at least 3 of their members, potentially all of their members, suffered in that situation. I think we should comb the ship for material we can use, like more magazines for the weaponry, maybe more armor, and then take a look and see if we can succeed where they failed.
So what we've established is that they probably all died in the pyramid, and the next place that we would like to go is the pyramid.
Yeah, our assumptions are getting thinner and more risky as we go along, are they not?
I don't have anything resembling another plan.
Well, look, there are 2 other plans, are there not? I'm still obliged to call in an SOS. And We have shelter and we have food for a considerable time. We can patch ourselves up. We can build a caravan. We can make our way out of here.
And leave the pyramid alone.
And leave the pyramid alone. Once we have made contact with the administration on this planet, we can let them know that this is a very dangerous zone and a hazard to navigation, and the authorities will take the appropriate steps. And all that stands between us and that is a complete shot in the dark walk across what is not a small planet.
What I know, Sadira suggested we try and get to the top of the pyramid. Perhaps we could see
Yes.
a little more where we could go from there. And I don't know if these things work like that, but perhaps our SOS would be better served from the top of a large pyramid than from down here.
Should not make much difference, but I think the decision not to call in has been one made out of an abundance of caution, not so much a technical restraint. I also have these spare power packs we salvaged. I could maybe bootstrap some other parts of the ship if you give me a day or two. Myself and Hamza could probably make it work.
It would certainly be good if we have no other use for them to have some backup power for the backup power.
That's true. I think there'll probably be battery packs to salvage aplenty and all that science equipment, although goodness knows if it's going to be of standard manufacture.
So, what is happening next, folks? How are we taking action next?
Sadira is a little bit bored of this indecision, and she's going to climb to the top of the pyramid.
Fair enough. And I believe Sadira was one of the two people with a planetary communicator. Is that correct? I think Laria had one and someone else had another.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not on my list of gear.
No, fair enough. It sounds like Hamza has the other one there.
I believe if they're working, they're going to be sufficiently powerful to work from the bottom of the pyramid or the top of the pyramid or whatever.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, they are planetary communicators. Being on top of the pyramid or not is not going to make a significant difference. I suppose unless anything interfering is like at height, but whatever. It couldn't hurt, but also it probably won't make a difference. So it sounds like Sadira may be striding purposefully towards the pyramid.
Sadira, will we not take a moment to search this place for any other useful equipment? Because if we go up to the top of that pyramid, are you strong enough to resist the temptation to go into it?
I'm not going to go in there alone. That would be foolish. But you guys look around here. I'm just going to observe from the top of the pyramid, see what else we can see.
And you have the drone, don't you, Mike? Or
I've got the drone.
Okay. I think I would rather pick over this ship for better equipment before we go into the hole. So shall we? I'll stay here and do a thorough search. And if you want to go and accompany Sadira for safety, then
I'll go with Sadira. I don't really understand these ship parts anyway.
Hamza, I think you would be equally useful either here or abroad. So
I don't want to climb a pyramid unless I have to. My ribs are broken.
Okay, well, it looks like I have a friend to help me search the ship.
Fair enough. Well, let's have a look at searching the ship first. So, Laria and Hamza, a roll has to be made. And I would suggest that that one person do it with assistance from the other. It's going to be an observation roll, and I'm going to be asking for a critical.
I do have observation. Do you?
No.
Okay.
There we go then.
My observation will be a total of 5 dice.
I think you're going to have to go ahead. I will just kind of blunder around in the semi-darkness.
But you're still going to assist in terms of the mechanics, yeah?
If I could do that without actually having the observations.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I
think so. No. Actually, no. No, you do need to have the relevant skill.
I think either you can help me or I can pretend to help you, and you're more likely to be successful.
Okay, well, I will make the roll with an attempt to crit, and I will take the Devil's Gambit here and pray thoroughly before, during, and after. Once more. And I do believe I get the dice pool bonus because we're still on the same day, so my previous prayer to the very useful icon in this situation should still stand if memory serves.
I honestly cannot remember where we were with prayers and various things. This will be it'll be the gambler regardless.
Yeah, because this was the second time I'd done a full ritual for the gambler, so whether or not that's still
sure.
in place.
I'm willing to believe you. It's all fine, but it won't matter until you get to rerolls anyway. So.
Yeah, which is almost certain. So that's 5 dice looking for 3 6s. Just double checking that. 1 plus wits. Yeah. Okay. Don't fail me now. Oh my holy God! 3 6s.
Nice. Nice. Okay. You're going to be underwhelmed here. Tell me one thing you're looking for that might be on a science and research vessel.
God, happiness? No, but seriously.
What?
Bad news.
Maybe a logbook, some information as to the purpose of their visit here. Maybe even if
I'm definitely not going to go with that because a logbook will be entirely on the terminal system. So I'm not,
right. So we have power. We have a map, a planetary map, or a chart.
You know what? Yeah, that's fine.
Hooray!
This is fine. So you find some like a battered around kind of personal data slate, and it mainly seems to have navigational and kind of mapping data on it. It has a map of this entire planet. And kind of all the different various, it's a continental planet, and all the details. It has a marker on this area, and by the marker is embedded some coded entries.
Ooh.
The mapping shows no settlements
on the planet at all.
Correct.
Yikes. Okay, that's better than nothing. Great. I'll go back to Hamza with this and go, well, this planet is unsettled.
I thought that you had figured out roughly which planet we were on.
Yes,
the
but what
system
I wanted,
rather than the planet, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
But what I wanted was to know where on the planet we are.
So we know that, but we're on a planet where
An uninhabited planet, which is this close to Coriolis. It is. It's a find, but
You're not that close to Coriolis, eh?
only 1 jump, 2 jumps, 1 jump.
Oh, man.
Anyway, I said what I said, but unfortunately, it means my contingency plan of caravanning ourselves to the nearest settlement with a starport and
because
hopping.
there isn't one.
There isn't one. We have to get the communicators to work.
Yeah, then it's
There must be a relay satellite in orbit. There must be.
Planet communicators cannot use are not extra planet communicators. Otherwise, they would be called. They would not be called planet-wide communicators.
But there might be. What I'm getting at is there might be some kind of station or something. Lavir has hope.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. You'd be able to access a space station, yeah, or anyone in orbit. Yeah, sure. If they wanted to be contacted.
The only ships here are wrecks.
The only ships in this area are wrecks. Oh god, I don't know.
There are no settlements. There has to be a space station because there has to be a space station.
There has to be. The icons would not allow me to perish on a planet with no way off.
I have no idea what plan the icons have for me, but
would
I'm glad
Matt.
to be in your company.
Good Matt.
So let's cut to the foot of the pyramid where Sadira and Adam are standing looking up at it. Which side are you going up on? This back side? Are you going round to the side with the entrance?
I guess like the side that is closest to the ship that we've just come from. So
Sure.
yeah. Which is on the opposite side, which is on the, I guess, the
the opposite side,
right?
Yeah, it's the opposite side from the side with the entrance. I think I'm going to ask for rolls to get up there, and it's not really to get to the top so much as it is kind of how long it might take you and how onerous it might be.
Okay.
So it's your guys' choice, and you each have to roll, and it's either going to be dexterity or force, and it's your choice.
I think both of those are my. Yeah.
They might be your.
It's only 1 point of damage per test.
Yeah,
so
it's not too bad.
I'll live.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, I didn't roll a single success because I have broken toes, and that gives me a -2.
Yeah.
So
I got 1 success.
Okay, well, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be determined unless you go ahead and leave Sadira struggling behind. I think
don't you dare.
The lower individual needs to determine it, and you maybe get about 2/3 of the way up the pyramid. The stones on it are oddly kind of very cool, kind of almost cold under your hands and feet as you make your way up. Maybe they just don't hold heat very well, but it's you've been overly warm for so long. Sounds familiar. That you've kind of almost forgotten what it's like to rest yourself on cool stone. And as you're probably about 2/3 of the way up. When you look down, having taken far longer to haul yourself up than you would have thought it would have, you can see kind of Luir and Hamza kind of coming out of the science vessel and having some kind of discussion. They seem to be holding kind of a data slate and prodding at it, and but eventually you do make your way up to the pinnacle of it. Far longer time than you would have liked. It is a flat surface at the top that's kind of very weathered and pitted with time and erosion and the like. It's covered with vines and moss, and you can see for a very long way in every direction. But looking around does not yield any further details than what you already knew.
I'm here. Go on.
From where we were, so we were to the east of this? No, we were to the west of this.
Correct.
Yeah.
What is to the east of the pyramid? Is it more savanna?
It is patchy woodland, but mostly, yes, savanna.
Okay.
Ditto. North, south. Yeah.
Can we see any crashed spaceships or from where we are? Okay.
I mean, I don't think this is going to be productive, but like we're here. I've got the recon probe. I might as well just send up for 10 minutes. So, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Sure, absolutely. Give me that augmented observation roll. And if Adam has observation, you can take an extra die for his help as well.
I think I do.
I think you do.
Yes, I do.
I remember you pitching it in before, I think.
Yeah.
2 successes.
Okay. You scan the immediate area. You don't find anything beyond what you already knew. You see more of those kind of low remnants of other ruined structures. The river appears to meander off into the distance. You just don't see anything of significant interest.
Okay. Well, Adam, it was worth a try. I guess we go and see what Levere and Hamza have found.
Yeah, it kind of been. Well, hopefully it's better than what we have. Did we notice anything when was there anything about the pyramid that seemed interesting other than just the relatively cold stones? Were there any is there anything carved in it or anything like that?
No, it's the stones, other than kind of the weathering and pitting, are featureless.
Okay. I guess we head back down.
Yeah.
Heading
Or
back down on that
we-
same side.
get them to meet us halfway up, because, unless they found something really interesting.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
So interesting that it blew Mike's mind. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught that. I just said, maybe we can convince Hamza and Levere to come halfway up the pyramid, because we might be going inside next. There's nothing else that we need to do.
Yeah. I guess we would have left them a walkie.
Yeah,
Of
you
course
got the
the
communicators,
walkie-talkies,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a personal communicator. I don't know who has the other one.
We can say that one of them has it. It's fine. Let's say Sadira has it. Sadira is the take charge one of the two of them. So feel free to have a conversation from the top.
Okay, I'll call into Hamza. I don't know why I did the mobile phone hand signal there.
Hello.
Please, somebody cut that out in the YouTube edit.
10 hours of that on repeat, mate.
Hamza, we found nothing. There is more savannah, more woodlands, no more spaceships, no other signs of anything around here.
Yeah.
What did you guys find?
Louis and I found a map that tells us that probably goes on for the whole planet. There are no settlements here. The best we can do is fire up the communicator and hope that there is a space station in orbit. That's what we found.
Yeah. Well, that's I don't know. Let's meet up at the bottom of the pyramid and we'll discuss which one of those things we're going to do.
Well, that's literally the only thing I can think to do. But yeah, okay, we'll see you when you come down.
So yeah, I guess we'll make our way down.
So sorry, the conclusion of that was that people are.
We're
gonna meet up, and I guess we're gonna decide if we're using the communicator or we're going inside the pyramid, or both, or neither.
Yeah, you can meet up halfway, and I'm not interested in making further rolls for scrambling up this pyramid. But having said that, if anyone else takes hit point damage on dexterity and force, then go ahead and take it as if you'd rolled it, because yes, it's an onerous task for that. And yeah, you meet up about halfway up, and yeah, you can all stand very comfortably. Like, the actual steps are about maybe 5 feet, sort of wide. Like, each step is about 5 feet wide, or deep rather, I suppose. So it's perfectly comfortable to stand here, if warm from no shelter.
Okay, so I guess we have two things that we can do, right? One is fire at the planetary communicator. The other one is go inside the pyramid. Shall we try the planetary communicator first?
Sure.
Sounds good to me. I'll dial it in as my responsibility.
Fair enough. It's worth noting, by the way, Hamza, you definitely have had to come out of your exoloader to get up here.
Okay, fine.
To scramble up.
I would have left that securely inside the ship.
Yeah. I think I quite like the idea that it locks in place. You know what I mean? Like, you lock it in a waiting position and then essentially just step out of it and walk off. So yeah, Laria, if you're gonna unlimber your planetary communicator and try and get a signal.
Yep. On emergency channel.
Can you give me a technology roll, please?
Now, remember when I said earlier I didn't have technology? I actually lied. I have 3 in it, so that's quite embarrassing. I don't know if I just can't read.
Amazing. So yeah, you have if you give a technology roll, you can take assistance from anyone else who wants to assist, who also has technology, yeah.
I am happy to assist.
Thank you, Hamza. Could you modulate the tachyon flux flow co-capacitor? That might help us get a couple of extra decibels per parsec.
3.4, 3.5.
I really thought you were going to say Floconuts there.
Floconuts. Does anyone want to join a band? Okay, I guess I will just make this roll with 7 dice, unless Mike or Sam, you've got anything to add to it?
No.
Okay, here we go.
I've got 3 points. I just don't want to contribute.
There is one success there, so
there is one success there. You get its battery is perfectly fine. You turn it on, it gives off a kind of low vibrating hum. This is a powerful piece of technology, and there are serious things at work in here. And you try and tune into a signal, and at first you're a bit confused. You don't think you're using it right, and then you realize you are using it right. You just can't kind of scan, for want of a better word, the frequencies planet-wide, because something is not blocking or jamming, but something is definitely interfering with the process of it trying to look for a signal. You think you could potentially... you think it has the capacity with another technology roll to try and... you think it can latch on to things that block it, if that makes sense.
So kind of get a lock on something. Yeah,
a very rough locator system, and that you could maybe try and use to find what, at least maybe the location, maybe even the explanation. It does have like a basic operating system. It's not just like a it has a touch screen and options and things, and you think you can fiddle around with it maybe for something like that. Would you like to do that?
Yes, but I think I'd like to inform everyone first.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen anything like this, Hamza? This isn't jamming. This is like signal negation.
If you had to guess, you'd say that there's another signal kind of like cutting through everything.
Yeah, so we're just being modulated to silence. It's like someone's just thrown a radio blanket over us.
That is incredible. I can maybe localize the source if we do the reverse phase calculation.
Let's try, because I have never seen a planet-wide communicator that looks like a hole, and I don't like it.
It's going to be the pyramid.
I'd say it's a safe bet, but let's do the science for the first time in a while. We have the technology for the first time in a while.
Go ahead and make a technology roll. You can take the bonus from Hamza, but I'm also going to give you... can I actually spend a darkness point and do anything with this? I don't think I particularly can. No, but that's fine. Oh, that was my stomach, if you could hear that. That was amazing.
That's the interference.
Yeah, absolutely. I am still... if people think I'm sluggish out there, I am still rocking the post-second vaccination side effects. So, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. I'll give you a bit of a negative modifier to it, because this is a bit more of you're not entirely familiar with this unit particularly. So take only a -1 though. Take a -1. So actually, Hamza's helping the modifier even. Let's say that.
Okay. I'm preparing to pray for this as well, because that's kind of my character.
Sure.
But there was no need to. 2 successes. What a great set of dice tonight.
This is actually quite a... because, as I say, it's more like another signal is layered over this one, or is kind of cutting through it in a way. You're not an expert on sensor devices and like communication devices, but from what can you tell, you're in educated layman's point of view, it's like there's another signal cutting through this one and like not dwarfing it, but kind of just layering over it, and meaning you can't pick up anything outside that. And it can nail down the location of this. It's quite an advanced device to within 50 meters of where the signal is coming from. And you're quite confused at first and think that you maybe again you didn't use it right. because it gave you a distance of nothing.
I don't think.
And then you realize the variance is 50 meters.
Yeah.
Whatever is doing this is within 50 meters of where you are stood right now.
Well, it should surprise no one that the unusual prehistoric monolith pyramid is the source of this interruption. And I potentially would posit that this very same interruption is the same thing that inserted the bogus data into the navigation computer on the Shining Light.
Well, just go inside and stop it.
Are we within 50 meters of the ship?
That's a good question.
I think you previously
I mean,
you
the fact that I'm having to think tells you it's not the ship, I suppose. The pyramid is 120 feet high, and you said you're about halfway up it, so that you're about 60 feet high, and let's say there's another 30 or 40 feet. Right. How many feet in a meter? I'm terrible at this kind of conversion. Anyone know?
3 feet in a meter.
3 feet in a meter.
I have a vague recollection
within...
of the ship being a bit further away from the pyramid.
You know what? After I said like 30 feet, I realized, yeah, probably it is more than that. You know what? Let's just, to avoid you guys going off for the chicken in the cage that the ship is somehow blocking it, let's say it is more than 50 meters away from you.
That's fine.
Probably not much more, but it is.
That's fine.
All signs point to our triangular friend, it seems.
Seems inevitable somehow, doesn't it? You
Do
don't
we-
stand next to this thing, and it turns out to be some unimportant, structure. It's
So the question now is one of survival and the most optimal mechanism for survival. Do we count our blessings and take our time? We have shelter, we have food, we have all the water in the world. We can rest, or do we plunge into darkness?
Trying to survive and hope that someone finds us didn't do anyone else any favors by the...
Oh, no. I don't mean let's not go into the pyramid. My curiosity is burning through my chest. But do we take a day or two off to put all of that trek and the crash and just draw a bit more of a line under it, perhaps?
It's a good point, a bit. But how well are you going to sleep in that ship next to whatever is in here? Because I'm not going to be able to sleep until we've found out what it is. So consider this from me a vote for. It's been a pleasure crash landing with you people. In the very likely event that we don't make it back out of the pyramid, it's been an honor. Let's do this. That's my vote.
Matt, the entrance to the pyramid, this hole in it, like, can I go over to it and have a look, like, inside? Does it go straight in?
On
Does
the
it go
other
down? How dark is it?
You're on the other side of the pyramid now, but it's very easy to, you can just walk around now on the step you are on, and just take a closer look at it before you go in. Absolutely, yeah.
I'm just gonna make my way over there, but call back to you and say, I just want to know what we might need if we want to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for goodness sake, don't let her walk around there on her own. I'm still legitimately terrified of this thing.
Let's go.
Let's all go look.
Yeah.
Shall we? Yeah, you walk around the pyramid. It doesn't take, it doesn't take long at all. Just a few minutes. And I think you said you're halfway down, and the entrance is 2/3 of the way up. So let's say that it's, a couple of steps above you. And you can see up on it, it is a sort of very functionally hewn sort of square arch. Doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. It's kind of got this kind of square lintel around it of smaller dark stones, and inside you can't really, from the position you are down, like a couple of steps down, you can't see anything in there but darkness. But perhaps getting closer to the entrance would yield better results.
Is it a feature of the pyramid, or does it look like it was kind of cut through afterwards?
It absolutely looks like a, obviously you don't have the archaeological knowledge to kind of but it looks like it's meant to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get a little bit closer. I just want to see if there's a door recessed into it or something like that, or some steps recessed into it.
You take you haul yourself up the kind of 2 or 3 steps it takes to be more kind of flush with the entrance, which is kind of slightly recessed into the set of steps that it's a part of. As soon as you get kind of within eye line of it, you can hear a couple of things. And you can see something as well. Nothing hugely apparent. It still looks quite dark in there, although you're unsure exactly how much that's just, it's very bright out here. But you can hear 2 things. You can hear a soft noise of dripping. You can also hear what sounds like a mechanical noise, a regular sort of ticking, a kind of like indicators in a car, that kind of soft, a noise to tell you that something's happening. And in perfect time with that is what looks to be a small blue LED type light that's just going on and off in time with the ticks. And that looks to be about kind of 20 feet or so inside the whatever's through the entranceway.
I'm going in.
Curiosity has us, it seems.
We're gonna have to go in eventually. No point waiting.
Are we striding inside, folks, all together?
So that wasn't Hamza saying I'm going in. That was Hamza going in.
Sure, yeah. Hamza just starts walking in, and anyone else can follow him. So for anyone who does go in, the dark stones inside seem cracked and covered with vegetation. It takes a few seconds, but your eyes do adjust to the darkness around you, and it doesn't seem it's certainly not preternaturally dark or anything like that. It's just, very, very sheltered inside there. It is dark and it is cool with a soft smell of moss and plant life. As soon as you step in under the lintel, you start to feel kind of little drips of cool water dropping on you from above. You kind of look up, you can't really see where from, but it's kind of like a soft, like you'd get inside a very kind of closed in greenhouse or kind of hydroponic tent or something like that. It's just this kind of constant, quite pleasant and cool, soft dripping of water on you. Just about visible once your eyes adjust at the edge of the light from the doorway is what looks like a modern technological device about chest high with a softly blinking blue light on it from which the ticking noise is emerging. It is sort of, it looks a bit like a barrel with a domed top on it, and it has what looks like a receiver coming off from the top of it. Anyone who has technology can make a roll to see if they can recognize this device.
So I'm hanging back here. I'm still kind of only just in.
Sure.
I don't recognize it.
Okay.
I don't have technology.
Neither do I.
I'm still basically at the doorway.
All right.
Louis, yeah? Do you know what this is?
So what I want to do before I go in is get rid of the planetary communicator because it's a heavy item, and I just want to kind of stash it sheltered inside the thing that I'm going to walk down beside it. I will walk in and observe this marvel.
Give me that technology roll.
7 dice. 1 success.
It's a transponder.
Yeah. Well, that might be what's interfering with our signal. It's a transponder of some description. I could try and disable it.
Yeah, it does have an
destroy it.
interface.
We could say hello to it. Okay, I'll log into it.
You're meeting. You know better than me what this thing is.
Yeah,
if you want to do that, you walk over it to it. There's a slight sort of switch to flick, and kind of the metal top of it kind of rolls up with a kind of click, and underneath is a touch screen. It is, the controls on this are astonishingly. It's not a complex device, really, at its heart, and you kind of tap it, turn it off. Blue light goes out. Back from near the entrance to where you stash the planetary communicator, you hear a...
What do I see, though?
What, if you go over to the communicator?
No, if I go... Because you said near the entrance there's a sound, I'm going to wheel around and look at that.
Yeah, it's the sound of your planetary communicator starting to receive white noise.
Oh, okay. I will barrel up the hallway, and I will pick it up.
So the way that this planetary communicator functions is that you can do it manually, but it will also happily, scan for appropriate signals.
Yeah, I will scan for appropriate signals. I will put in a vocal Mayday call. I will. This is the captain and crew of the Shining Light. We are stranded on this planet. Any and all souls, please respond. Please respond.
Are you just sending this out planet-wide?
Yeah, emergency channel. So that's the...
Okay. After about 30... I assume you send out that and then wait a short while to see if you receive anything in response.
Yeah.
After about 30 seconds, there is a bleep on the communicator that signifies an incoming contact request.
Okay, pull it up.
A woman's voice opens up on the other end saying, if this is a prank, Saeed, I swear to God, I don't have time for this today.
I am lodging an official request for assistance. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Please respond using the normal protocols, if you would.
What? Who is this?
This is Lawir. I am the captain of the Shining Light. We are shipwrecked on this planet. I will give the planet name, which is probably on the map. Our location is as follows. I will give them the location of the pyramid.
Why are you even here?
We survived the shipwreck. Are you following the protocol or not? Please relay.
Please hold.
Fair enough.
About a minute passes, and then a different woman's voice responds saying, "Hello, could you verify your navigational position for me, please?"
I will give them the location.
You can actually do it via the communicator. The communicator itself can send navigation.
Yeah, sure. I will do. You should have that ping now.
This looks legitimate. All right. You are speaking with Arca Base 3. We're with the Foundation. The Foundation is the sort of sub faction that is concerned with science and research. I have to say this. Obviously, we will obey international law regarding these things. However, I would like to ask what you were doing here.
We crash landed.
Why were you even in orbit?
We crash landed. Our navigational computer was interfered with by what we can only assume was a device within this pyramid, and we crash landed. Most of our crew are dead.
I'm sorry, did you just say pyramid?
Yes. At the location I have provided.
We have no data of any ruins at that location.
Okay, well, once you send the required aids to our location, I will happily take you on the grand tour. I'm sorry to be curt, but this is irregular to say the least.
Not really. This planet is currently in a state of... Technically, you are on private property. Please hold.
Understood. Oh, I will kind of shout back. So this is the Foundation, where this is a science planet. This is their territory.
If anyone with culture can go ahead and do a culture roll if they would like, and tell me if you get a success.
That does include me, so I will.
Nope, no successes.
Oh, 2 successes.
You're fairly sure ARCA is a acronym that the Foundation uses for bases concerned with archaeology.
Yeah, this is a planet that's been ARCA, the archaeology unit of the Foundation. Very unusual. They say they've surveyed this location and not found any structures here.
Not very good archaeologists.
Yeah, the archaeologists failed to find a pyramid
with a transponder in it that is blocking signals. There's something going on here. I do not like it.
I would hasten to add, they did not say that they had examined the area. They said they had no records of anything in that area.
Yeah.
After a good few minutes this time, the second woman's voice comes back on the communicator and says, all right, obviously, yes, we have to deal with this. Are you intending to stay at this location?
Yes, in principle. However, I do wish to register that this represents a significant navigational hazard, assuming the same effect that interfered with our navigational computer will affect other systems nearby. We are not the only crash here. There must be about 5 or 6 that we counted ships that have been wrecked in this area.
5 or 6?
At the very least.
Are any of them labeled with consortium or foundation?
Yes, there is one consortium ship, estimated age of impact about 10 years back. We've been here a while.
10 years? You're sure?
Yes. The best of my knowledge, based on what I can see from the ship.
Finally. All right. Interesting. We'll put a team together. It's going to take a few days, I'm afraid. Are you going to be able to survive out there?
We would need permission to make salvage of one of the consortium ships here. If we can, we will survive without difficulties. If we cannot, it is going to be a challenge.
Right. Yes. Well, we would ask that you do not interfere with anything, specifically consortium property. If you need to shelter on the ship, but don't go poking around. You know what I mean.
I understand. I would also like to let you know, in the interest of full clarity, and assuming we're going to be having these conversations for quite some time in a maritime court, there was a transponder active at this site within the pyramid that we had to disable to get a communication to you. It is of our technology.
I can't believe this. Can you give me the look on the base of it and give me the model number?
I'll kind of gesture to Hamza to kind of. At this point, I've probably switched on push to talk and kind of gathered everyone around to listen to this.
Yeah, there is a number kind of etched along the bottom. Yeah. You relay it, and she says, well, I think no one else is going to be crashing in your area. That transponder line was defective. This is an extreme case, but there are similar circumstances happening before.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. We have a reasonable answer for it then.
This complicates things. Look, wait there a few days. We will come rescue you. I am legally obliged to inform you that you will be held in a hospitable fashion within consortium facilities until agents can arrive from Coriolis to resolve matters of responsibility and culpability.
Understood. Thank you for following protocol in this matter.
All right. Can you check in with me once a day?
Certainly. And thank you. You've probably saved our lives. May the icons bless you.
Yes, the icons. And you. She didn't sound particularly enthusiastic about that. The Foundation are notoriously Dawkins-like.
Yeah, I will terminate the connection, make sure we don't have an open mic, and go, I think this is... While rescue is approaching, I believe the complications will be far-reaching.
I didn't like that call.
I did not
They
like
seem
that.
more interested in this place rather than us.
Oh, no, that's fine. What I'm concerned about is how they acknowledged a defective transponder could be the cause of dropping ships from the sky. I mean, technically, yes. Why is it inside a piece of masonry older than the Third Horizon?
Especially one they didn't know existed. They know about the
Especially one they did
transponder,
not know
but they
existed.
didn't know about the pyramid.
And yet
No.
it was their own people that came on the scientific survey. So what we have is in some way there is some chain of responsibility between the people that we just spoke to and the faulty transponder, which means that the people that are coming to rescue us work for the people that are culpable for all of these ships coming down and all of these deaths. Now, how do you think they're going to treat us?
They have to treat us with the semblance of respect in accordance with the protocols of emergency rescue.
According to which witnesses?
The transceiver.
Who's going to know, Louis? There's nobody else for us to speak to. There's nobody else that knows that we're here.
I do agree, but at the same time, what other option do we have other than to take these people's help?
I would also like to raise one other point of concern. There is the matter of the body bags and the matter that this transceiver was very deliberately moved to this location. I just don't feel like I should take any part of this story at face value.
You want to open the body bags?
I also want to take another look at the inside of this chamber and make sure we haven't missed any other earth-shattering discoveries.
While we're talking about the transponder, Hamza, something may or may not occur to you. Can you give me an observation roll, please?
Observation. I can try.
Yeah.
Something does occur to me. There's one success.
You're fairly sure there were a couple of identical transponders to this aboard that science ship.
Okay. Yeah, this transponder looks familiar. Like, I'm pretty sure we saw some of these back on the ship.
So maybe we take them at face value and say, okay.
The science ship that's been here for 11 years from the consortium, somebody on that science ship put this faulty transponder here.
The only part that's unusual here is that the transponder's faulty. Maybe this is not a bad faith situation. Maybe they switched the transponder on because they wanted to mark the pyramid. And then something happened and a load of people wound up dead.
They either wanted to put a pin in the map saying we are here, or they wanted to make sure that nobody saw that they were here. Either way, putting the transponder in here was a deliberate action.
Yes.
And then something's gone wrong.
We can compare the model numbers of the transponders, right? We can see if the ones on board the science ship are the same defective batch or whether they're an updated batch.
Or whether they potentially deliberately defective. I don't know. I have no idea who the enemy is, but I'm not sure the people coming to rescue us are the friends.
Have we at any point discussed the fact that there are ruins here older than... I can't remember who spotted it. Who noticed?
I think I pointed it out to the group, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
These kinds of ruins, this could cause problems for certain groups within the systems, within the whole Third Horizon.
We're certainly sat here on top, well, in the middle of a very large secret. Possibly several very large secrets that have got people killed.
There's always lots of talk about kind of like, ruins and old objects and stuff that predate humanity in the Third Horizon. But, you are one of a million teeming masses among the Third Horizon. Like these things are just rumors to you, or like the subject of, spurious documentaries and the like. So the actual reality of them, I mean, you're stood in the actual reality of them, but yeah.
And what about can I make a cursory search of the rest of the chamber, because we've all focused in on this?
Yeah, you the edges of the chamber are definitely more challenging to find the deeper you go into kind of the darkness as the light from the entranceway fades out a bit. But you're fairly sure after a cursory examination of 5 minutes or so that what you're standing in is a relatively small chamber compared to the overall size of the pyramid. You do not find any other ways in or out other than the entranceway. You do not find any carvings, bas-relief, statue, any kind of cultural markers whatsoever. It is just empty stone full of sort of slightly sweet, pleasant-smelling moss and that kind of softly dripping water.
Purely ritual significance.
I'm not an archaeologist.
Neither am I.
Can I investigate the chamber a little bit more, Matt, and see if, run my hands over the walls and see if any parts of it feel cooler, similar to the stones that we felt at the top of the pyramid?
All the stones you have felt as part of the pyramid have felt cooler. Felt kind of quite cool. The ones in here feel slightly cooler, but that's just probably because they're not in the sun.
Sure.
This seems a small room for this size of pyramid.
It's not historically unprecedented. Large tomb, small room.
There's nothing in here that historically... The only thing in here is a transponder that's a recent addition. What is this pyramid for? Perhaps a tomb, but why is there a small empty room built into the side of it?
We should ask the archaeologists that are probably coming to kill us.
We should, perhaps, morbid as it may seem, ask the body bags that have left here before us.
Okay. So it's
in my head, why?
Another thing, I do want to point out one tactical advantage we have. In a breach of protocol of my own, I neglected to mention how many souls required saving.
And?
Well, that means not all of us... Well, ambush. Not all of us have to leave. Someone can stay here and try another call in a few weeks, or we have options. There are still options open.
Okay. But for now...
We could also maybe swipe another transponder and maybe turn it on to create more managed shipwrecks, if we so wish.
Oof. Mate.
You want to bring them down?
What cards do we have in our hands right now? We are powerless, and I don't want to do that. But
I don't know.
I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. I don't feel like we're in control of this situation, and I want to have some control.
Look, you have a point. The person who has the capability to hit a spaceship with a planet is not exactly powerless.
Yeah. Our best.
You're on mute, Matt.
All right. Hamza, can you roll technology, and Chris, can you roll pilot, please?
Sure.
Oops, that's wrong.
Nothing.
Yeah, plenty. 1.
There are an awful lot of StarCraft wrecks in this area, all with different things damaged.
I suppose with some labor, we could get something flyable from what we have here out of the wreckage of the ships.
You mean build the ship?
Swapping an engine in and out?
Not impossible. Like, these systems are designed to be modular.
Okay. Let's search the science ship, which is the one thing that you promised that we weren't going to do, but the only thing that's going to give us any more information. And then let's talk about whether or not we want to bring down the rescue ship and build our own way out of here. Because the best case scenario with these rescuers is that we get off the planet and we all spend a very long time in a prison cell, while whichever lawyers it is figure all of this out.
I think if we're doing this by the book, none of us get out of this without visiting a court at least once, but...
I don't want to visit a court.
But yes, I think we should keep our options open. Of course, I could not recommend poking around the property of the consortium. And certainly I will not be helping in any official capacity. But
so as the climbing of the pyramid has happened and as these discussions happen, I'm going to imagine that this discussion has taken longer than the actual time we've spent on it, right? It seems like a discussion that, like, the leaping straight to maybe we should kill our rescue crew. Like, it seems like it might have taken long, you know what I mean? And it's led you through kind of the late afternoon sun, and then through the other suns going down and the blue sun's coming up, and now night is falling on this day. You are not going to have a terrible amount of visibility at all. So what are we doing? Are we retreating to the sign ship and spending the night there? Was that I think that was the general idea, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We can seal the science ship.
You absolutely can, yeah. So you make your way down the pyramid, back to the sign ship, open it up, take yourselves in and seal it for the evening. Is the idea kind of, you get presumably going to get a good night's sleep perhaps before you kick off stuff the next day? As we're still on the last day of your journey here. So you're probably
pretty
quite
tuckered.
tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be up for a very refreshing meal of ship's rations and guaranteed clean water.
Yes, absolutely. Well, then you spend the night on the ship. Are there any kind of feel free to have further conversations? Obviously, I'm wary of circling the drain on that conversation without any further data. But it's up to you guys.
I think I'll kind of propose that any major searching of the ship take place after we've rested.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You're not entirely sure how much more you will get from searching the ship, being as you've already made rolls to search the ship.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I guess the only thing that I can think of on the ship in terms of looking around that we haven't already tried is that I haven't tried data gen on the cockpit computer. So I think I would sleep and in the morning try that. I mean, it may well be that there's nothing there.
You haven't, but Chris has successfully used pilot on it, which means that realistically there's it's just a roll to salvage. No, it's just the basic boot system. Like there's nothing else remaining on there.
I think in the morning my priority would be kind of going through people's personal effects and preparing those bodies for cremation.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, you spend it's up to you how restful your night is. It's certainly undisturbed by anything, and very kind of silent inside the metallic hull of the ship. In the morning, Lavia, you can start doing preparations for kind of funeral rites and the like. And let's go around and check kind of the first things that everyone else is doing. Hamza, what's your first inclination of something to do? They did say it would take a few days to get the rescue party to you, so.
That's a good question. So are we talking about in the morning specifically, or just like over the next few days?
No, in the morning, kind of. I'm just trying to get a picture of where everyone is as the day starts.
During the funeral preparations, if Lavia's not already doing this, as respectfully as possible, I will be kind of going through pockets and looking at personal effects for the people in the body bags and seeing if there is anything that kind of comes to light from that.
Sure. How about Sadira?
I think that Sadira is probably looking at the wrecked engine of the ship and just wondering, like, how feasible it is that we can, maybe do some repairs on this. And just to give me an idea of, like, what we're dealing with here, like, how big is an engine on one of these things? And
I mean, the engine itself is the size of, we're talking about like the size of a living room or something like that. But they are modular. Like the entire point of the build of ships in the Third Horizon is that one dedicated engineer can make significant changes to them. It just takes them time, and they need access to technology like, an exoloader. You're on mute, mate.
So different parts of the engine can be taken apart, removed,
Correct.
and replaced. Right, got you.
Okay, and they're all pretty standardized. At least all the ships you've encountered have been based on the same rough blueprints of ships of a certain size tend to have, kind of the bargain basement ships of the Third Horizon. So they're all, fairly interchangeable, and hopefully you'd be able to get something working and up and running from it. Adam, how about you? What's Adam doing?
I think Adam might take a look outside, get a better sense of the surroundings of this ship, and also maybe try to figure out where the most likely place for a rescue ship to land in this vicinity would be.
Sure. Well, you're the first, but I think some of the other people, I think like Lavia, would probably have stepped outside at some point as well, because you're probably not going to cremate them inside the ship. But being as you're the first person to mention stepping outside, we'll go with you, Adam. So as you step outside, there's definitely a different kind of edge to the air as you step outside. For the first time, when you step out, you're expecting that bright savanna sunlight, and instead it's kind of slightly grey and dull. And you look up and over and see a storm gathering on the horizon, the first serious cloud cover since you arrived, and it is sweeping towards you. You can even hear thunder rolling mournfully in the distance. And as you kind of like turn and kind of and look over to the kind of northeast and register this, you can feel kind of the first kind of loose spatters of rain starting to hit you and your clothes.
Okay, I think I'd quickly, have a walk around. I don't want to get soaking wet or anything, but I had plans to, take a quick check of the surroundings, make sure nothing has changed, and like I say, look for a potential landing spot. But then I'd probably after that head back in and mention this oncoming storm to the rest of the group.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do so. Lavia, let's say that you're the other person who's likely to be outside, right? You've probably headed out. Adam has mentioned it to you, and you've noticed the kind of the storm slowly rolling in, which is obviously going to make cremating people a little bit more challenging. But as you do so and kind of step out and maybe start, well, you tell me, are you kind of looking around for kind of deadfall and stuff like that to try and build a pyre?
Yeah, that would be just kind of setting up a basic.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you give me an observation roll as you do so?
Observation is 5 dice. Oh, 2 successes again. Statistically unlikely.
you hear something that at first you're not sure what it is, and then you realize it sounds like some kind of distant or semi-distant sonic boom. And then it kind of registers with you exactly what it might be, and you look over and you look up, and that seals it. You are correct. There is a ship breaking atmosphere to the west.
In a controlled manner, I assume.
Yeah.
Can I nip back to the nearest communicator and just see if I can get a beacon on it?
Yeah, you can go to the communicator and kind of bring it out. Incidentally, a piece of information, sorry, I should have given you before. When you were communicating with the Arca base, it did log its location as the other side of the planet, but planet side.
Yeah. Okay.
And it occurs to you that the map you found is 11 years old.
Yeah, okay, so maybe it's been settled since. So the communicator I'm using is probably Hamza's, so I'll kind of barrel in, because I'm not going to climb halfway up the pyramid to go and get the other communicator. Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of barrel back into the ship and go, Hamza, I need the communicator. There's a ship breaking atmo.
But it's in the pyramid.
There's two of them. Where's your one?
Oh, yeah, it's here. I have it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Maybe arm yourself and go and find some cover outside.
What about the transponders?
They're not much use to us right now. I mean, are they heavy matter? Can these be?
Do we want this thing to land?
They're switched off. The only transponder that was active was the one in the pyramid. Or do you want to blow the ship up?
Find out who they are. I'm going to go find some transponders.
And some cover, please. Take a weapon. Okay, I will switch on the transponder. So,
Sure. You do not find any local signals. And
Okay, so
they are quite local. They have now, in fact, as you dash out, you can see the ship circling. It looks like a relatively small craft, and it touches down somewhere to the west.
Okay, they came in dark. They came into the west, maybe not many kilometers away. And it seems they've already touched down, so ditch the transponders. Are we going to go to ground? What's the plan?
We need somewhere defensible.
Okay, Hamza, can I trust you to go somewhere and hide for at least 3 or 4 hours? Maybe I'll go and talk to them.
Okay. I guess I will. It's all happening quite quickly, so I will barrel out of the ship and I will go and find some kind of underbrush within the sort of the forest area where the ship is.
What are Sadira and Adam doing while this is
Just
happening?
going to ask.
Am I back at the
conversation?
ship? Yeah.
I'll be yelling it in the ship.
Okay. Yeah, Sadira is going to probably head off into like did you say there's some like trees around the ship? Like
Yeah.
So Sadira's going to make her way into those with a Vulcan carbine and just set up a little observation point where she can see people coming in from the west and the ship and the pyramid.
You wouldn't really be able to see the west because the pyramid would be in the way. Because the is on the east side.
Sure.
On the west side of the pyramid is the river.
Well, you know what? In that case, I might sneak up to the pyramid and sort of see if I can see, without making myself a really obvious silhouette on the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
If I can sort of see where the ship might have landed.
Sure.
Would you stay with me if that's okay?
Yeah, gladly.
And I want to do another communication in the second mad once we have a break.
Sure, absolutely. So you... everyone's dashing to their various places. It sounds like Hamza is sort of... where is Hamza secreting himself?
So in the woods, probably within sight of the science ship.
Sure.
But like in a ditch covered in
King. Yeah.
bracken or whatever analog there is there.
Sure.
And
Can
I just retcon something and say that, I'll take a personal communicator and leave one with Hamza, maybe?
Yeah.
Sure. And Sadira, you're going up the pyramid and kind of like trying to... Are you lurking inside the room, the like chamber?
Maybe I was actually thinking maybe not, because if they've got some sort of scope, that's probably the feature that they will look at first of all. And I really don't want to be spotted, even just on. I don't want to be spotted there. Also, maybe just literally around to the side and just poke my head over.
So you're on the rear side of the pyramid and just kind of with your rifle poking around.
Yeah, or even to the side. And I'm not poking. I'm not looking. I guess my rifle would have a scope, so maybe it would help. Actually, I don't think it does have a scope. Thinking about it, I don't think it does. So probably not kind of making any aggressive gesture with my rifle.
Yeah. So Adam and Luia, where are you? What are you do? Exactly where are you and what are you doing?
I'm going to make another call. I'm going to call up from the other planetary communicator to our rescuers.
So you are near the room.
I am in the ship. We're using the other planetary communicator, which is in the ship.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a call and let them know what's like. Thank you for being so swift, but could you have left your transponders on when you came into land?
At first, you get the original woman who answered, who just sounded kind of vaguely done with your shit, and she kind of tells you to hold. Another 30 seconds pass, and the woman you spoke more with comes online and says, "I'm sorry, what?"
There's a ship just broke Atmo here and landed about very close. I assume it's one of yours, a small scout vessel by the look of it.
No, as I told you, it would take a few days.
Okay, well, someone's arrived. Should we assume they're hostile?
I've got no idea.
Okay, well, I please log with the relative authorities that I have no idea what's going on, and maybe send your rescue team armed.
Well, they were coming in armed anyway. For all we know, you were going to bushwhack us.
Yeah, well, maybe, perhaps we will be the ones who have been bushwhacked. Wish us luck.
I suppose so. Well, why don't you check in again and let me know what happens?
Yeah, certainly. Shining light out.
Where are you going now, Lavia and Adam? Because you made some noises about basically being the ones to communicate with whoever these people are.
Shall we take the diplomatic approach and go to the pyramid and try and meet with these people? Or shall we assume they're coming in armed and deadly? Oh, God.
Let's try and find a spot where we can... I mean, it's an open savanna they're going to be coming across or through the river. We should be able to get some look at them before they're quite close enough to blow us to pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious spot to be and not to be seen and to be able to see out is the chamber in the pyramid.
Yeah.
At least there's also a communicator there as well.
There is also a communicator.
How many local communication devices do we have? Because I don't have one on my...
I think we had two.
I think there were two, yeah.
Yeah, and they're with Hamza and Sadira.
Hamza and Sadira have them. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's make our way non-surreptitiously to the pyramid chamber then, Adam, unless you have another suggestion.
No, that sounds good. If it looks like they're not looking to fight, then we can go and talk to them, hopefully.
Okay, so this has all taken, about maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And as you kind of step out and make your way up to the entrance, but by this time, the rain has started pouring down copiously, kind of just drumming against every surface, against you as well. And you kind of make your way up to the pyramid and look out. As you look, by which time it's maybe been about half an hour or so, you see the ship that broke atmosphere out somewhere to the west, kind of lifting off again, but not kind of to leave atmosphere, just staying kind of hovering briefly and then flying very directly towards exactly where you are. I suppose it's not a surprise. It is the only landmark, visible landmark around. It touches down just on the far side of the river, which is now running significantly higher and faster. It is immediately identifiable as a gunship. Kind of a standard, derivation gunship. It has a word on the side of it that none of you are familiar with. Those of you who can see it, I guess Hamza can't see kind of what may be happening, but I think the other three of you can. It has the word Zorna painted on the side of it in elaborate and somewhat fanciful lettering. That is Xorna. As it touches down, moments after it touches down, the main hatch tilts and drops to the ground, and out step 5 figures, somewhat obscured by the hammering rain, as they make their way, start to make their way over the river, which is kind of like rushing past their thighs. You can see them a bit more clearly. They are dressed in an extremely distinctive fashion, armored bodysuits that have been painted white with red and blue triangles in patterns all over them. Over those are dark-coloured duster coats, and on their faces are black lacquered masks with designs that seem to represent kind of demonic visages, each of which is highlighted with red tracing and bearing grimacing, mischievous expressions. They are visibly and heavily armed. One of them steps forward from the group of 5 and removes his mask gently to reveal a heavily scarred and pale, but quite angelic and beautiful face. He has long brown hair tied back into a waist-length ponytail and seems to have a quite friendly demeanor about him. He has a kind of a gentle smile on his face, and he kind of lifts up a data slate, which he smears the rain is pouring down and he smears off it, taps it a few times, and then calls out in quite a lilting, sing-song voice, "We know you are here. Why don't we talk?"
I see.
Yeah, kind of his voice is cutting through the like really heavy thunder and drumming on the stone of the Pyramid of the Rain.
How close is he to where we are?
They're stood in the river, so you have to descend the pyramid, and then about 40 feet past that is the river.
Okay.
I'm gonna whisper into the communicator to Hamza what's going on, and I'm gonna ask that some people have shown up. They say that they know we're here. What do you want to do? Do you want to bring yourself forward, or do you want to stay hidden? They are heavily armed.
I'm no good to you here. I'm coming up the pyramid. So I'll kind of...
So you kind of descend, like coming up on the other side to where Sadira is. So trying to stay concealed from them, but...
Yeah, so I suppose I'm coming up the back.
The back, what we think of as the back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You can start doing that, but it's going to take you some time, obviously, to navigate from where you are stealthily, but also it's more difficult to climb the pyramid when it's literally like a waterfall coming down it, with all the rain pouring down. Luir and Adam, I guess if anyone is going to respond, you are.
We can't fight them. We have to either run or talk.
I suggest that I go ahead and talk to them.
If you're
going, will watch over me.
If you're going, I should go with you. I can be useful.
Okay, let's do it then together. On my way out, however, I am going to stop by the communicator and trip the automated emergency distress beacon.
You absolutely can. You do notice a flashing alert on the communicator that says jamming software in effect.
They're jabbing us at them. There's no way their intentions are peaceful. I suppose that now all we can do is bide for time. Would you not consider staying back? At least if there's one hostage, there are still 3 of you to make a good inroads.
Believe me, I'm more useful with you.
Then may the icons protect us both.
Indeed.
Okay, I'm assuming you're stepping out from the chamber?
Yep.
Okay. You can call down to them from where you are. You just have to pitch your voice quite high over the storm. As you step out, the man kind of tilts his face and looks kind of a kind of vaguely friendly amusement crosses his face, and he says, "Wonderful. Who am I addressing?"
My name is Lavir, servant of the Icons, and one of the 2 remaining survivors of the Shining Light.
Oh, well, I am honored to make your acquaintance, Luria of the Shining Light. And he gives quite a kind of florid, oddly formal bow and says, I am Tristano, and it seems we are all servants here. Yourself of the Icons. I, for my part, am a loyal servant of the Smile.
Can I take a culture roll on that?
No.
No idea, then.
No.
Are you to be our rescuers, or we barely survived?
Well, Luria, there are many roles that myself and my companions could play for you. But if I may ask you just some trifling questions first. Obviously, we are aware that you had rather a hard landing here. May I ask you who your travelling companions are?
My friend, were, I suppose, might be more relevant, but my friend here goes by the name of Adam.
And who else?
Our original captain was Gisela, Bato, the first mate, Abud, another crew member. There were some others. It was our first assignment.
No, excellent. Where is Abud?
Abud died. He is in pieces. What was left of him was cremated.
Was it?
It must have been. I dealt the rights myself.
Maybe that is true, maybe it is not. Where are his possessions?
I can show you that it's some 12 kilometers toward the
They are
forest.
not at the ship. Where are his possessions?
We took everything salvageable from the ship. There should have been nothing left. He had a box, I recall, but that must have been destroyed in the crash.
And this is the line you are maintaining?
There were no other survivors. There was nothing after the crash.
It seems, I feel, Lavir, that perhaps you are misunderstanding me. I am not doubting you, per se. In fact, it is not so much that I do not believe you, that I do not care whether you are telling the truth. I and my companions are here to reacquire Arbed, and more to the point, reacquire the property he took from the Smile. And I truly regret having to deliver anything that may come across as perhaps an ultimatum. But regardless of whether or not it is a simple task for you, perhaps he lurks behind you, perhaps you have his possessions stowed away somewhere, perhaps you do not. But you have an hour to relinquish Arbed and the property of the Smile to us before myself and my Harlequins, he gestures to either side of him, start pulling teeth. He gives another sort of florid bow, turns on his heel, and starts retreating to his ship, leaving the 4 Harlequins standing in the river, still as statues, and with their rifles held casually across their chests. And I think we'll leave the session there for the night.
Thanks.
Oh, callbacks to stuff from the first session. Don't you just love it?
You thought you were discarding that character that was just there for set dressing while you smashed the only thing I cared about in this world.
It's almost like I think these things through ahead of time. If anyone has any comments or questions in the chat, please fling them in there and we'll answer them on screen for you. In the meantime, let's do the boring promo stuff. Links below: YouTube, Twitch, check them out. Social media, Discord, Patreon. That's all I can be asked with as far as promo goes. And now we'll talk about the other series we do. We do 3 series a week: Call of Cthulhu on Mondays, Blades in the Dark on Tuesdays, and Coriolis here on Wednesdays. But I have a gut feeling that next week is going to be the finale of Coriolis, and then we'll be returning to the world of Symbaroum, which is kind of our flagship show, the week after that with this same crew. We do one-shots on the first Saturday of every month. We've done loads of those this year: Alien, Troika, Merkborg, Honey Heist, Fiasco, The Expanse. That might be it. They're all in VOD form over on YouTube, and we have another one coming up on the 7th of August, which is the One Ring. And also on the Free League Twitch, we run a fortnightly Symbaroum game on Sundays. That won't be this Sunday. It will be back on the next Sunday after that. Yeah, nice. I don't think we've got any questions or comments in chat. I'm really interested to hear reactions from the group on this.
You're aware, right? You're never going to be able to get away with another. You're never going to be able to get away with another. No, this character isn't actually dodgy again. Every single NPC that comes within 100 feet of me.
Sure. I think something that's quite important, I guess, or could be a nice little tidbit is so patrons get access, or patrons at a certain tier get access to character creation videos, and within that, a part of Coriolis character creation is you create certain factors for your group as a whole. And I didn't know how many of you guys will have picked up on this. Yeah. You pick a patron for the group who you've already met, who's the Captain Miro. From the beginning, who gave you this. You also pick a nemesis, and your nemesis is we determined that he is a circus owner, but also a crime boss called Eo Zorna, also known as the Smile.
It's always the circus.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
I would also call back and say, do you remember how I said we weren't doing ship creation because I had an alternate way to do that? And you thought it was because I was giving you the shining light, but instead you get to build it.
Oh, except
I thought you were about to say, instead you're all about to die.
Instead you're all about to fucking die.
You're either going to build it or you won't need it.
Yeah. I hope the Harlequins hit the right note there. I was trying to go for kind of cool, kind of scary, kind of like, oh, this is weird sort of thing. But I was quite worried that they also would sound really kind of 90s edgy or something. So hopefully I hit the right balance there. It's also, hopefully people didn't just go, you're just ripping off 40K.
It's like my grandfather always used to say, never piss off a thespian.
Absolutely. There's also some nice... hey, creepy circuses are the sole remit of the Call of Cthulhu series.
Oh, no.
I know, right? Like, as I was writing this bit up today, I was like, oh, I almost sent a message to Johnny saying, what's the circus called in Call of Cthulhu? So I could, like, literally just have them in this, and they become this kind of, like, cross-dimensional, like, thing. But I didn't in the end, because I... wanted to do fun little referential stuff. Can I? Here's
I can't believe you passed up the opportunity to create the Telling Tales verse.
The Telling Tales verse. Yeah, I did. Maybe I shouldn't have done. Here's something, and this is purely my own smug, self-satisfied things that make me happy when I'm writing games. Here's a thing for you. I wanted to come up with like when I write dialogue, I like to come up with like little things that might stand out because they seem off, or it's an odd way of phrasing things or stuff like that. And the thing I put in here was possibly obviously like Tristano at the end there saying, me and my Harlequins will start pulling teeth, which is an odd way to phrase that. There is an old Commedia dell'arte piece called The Tooth Puller, and that's part of it because they're called Harlequins, and it made me happy. That's the kind of shit that honestly is what I do get GMing for. That kind of little like nugget of cool crap. No one cares. No one cares. It's fine. It's fine.
Did it make you happy, Matt?
Yeah, made me very happy.
I can see that.
It did. Bertram Mills isn't as creepy as Zorna is. Bertram Mills, the like ringmaster in Call of Cthulhu. I don't want to give too many details in case people haven't watched it. They should go watch our Call of Cthulhu series. Is probably our most popular series at the moment. Maybe Simbroom will reclaim the flag when it comes back, but people are liking the Call of Cthulhu stuff on Monday, so you should go check out the VODs, folks, before the third arc happens.
Now I'm expecting the Hubbard's possession to be a hair, a weirdly staring hair in a box.
A weirdly staring hair in a box. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, thanks so much for that. Thanks to my lovely players. Thanks to John for being an excellent stream manager as always. Thank you to you for watching. And we'll join you next week for what may well be the finale of An Abyss Midmost, our Coriolis story. Thanks, folks. Take care of that. Bye-bye.
Bye.